and welcome. I am Alicia Chasson, and I welcome you on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Lafayette. The League is a nonpartisan and nonprofit organization. It does not endorse or support candidates or parties. Since 1920, the League of Women Voters has worked to educate and inform voters. Membership is open to all men and women over the age of 18. They actually changed it to 16, so we should fix that. The Lafayette League encourages informed and active participation in government. Our members work to increase understanding of public policy issues and to influence public policy through education and advocacy. We're happy to have as this evening's moderator, Dr. Christy Malloyd, Associate Professor of Political Science at UL and the Voter Services Chair for the League of Women Voters of Lafayette. Please welcome Dr. Malloyd.
Good evening, and welcome to our candidate forum here tonight, and thank you for the main library for sponsoring us and allowing us to use this wonderful space. We're going to be offering the public a glimpse of the candidates for Lafayette Parish School Board, and we're delighted to have all of the candidates here tonight who are running for Districts 2 and 4. First, some brief housekeeping. Please take this time to check your cell phone and make sure that it is on silent and keep it there for the duration of the forum. And next, just a little bit of information about the format that we'll be using. All of the questions that we ask here tonight are going to be new to the candidates. They have not received them in advance. The questions are designed to give candidates an opportunity to express their positions on issues that are relevant to voters. Our process tonight will be to give each candidate in alphabetical order by district 1 minute to introduce themselves. We'll give them 2 minutes each for closing remarks, and in between the intro and the closing, we'll pose questions to each candidate in rotating order. Candidates are asked not to address each other directly, as this is a forum, not a debate. Answers to questions are going to be limited to 1 minute each and strictly enforced by our timekeeper, Ms. Deborah Ami, out in the audience. She will give candidates a 10-second warning and stop them with a warning signal if they go 15-second warning, and will stop them kindly if they go over the 1 minute mark. Now it's time for us to hear from each of our candidates a short introduction. So we'll give you a chance to introduce yourselves, and we'll start just to my left with Mr. Tommy Angel.
Just about 1 minute. Start
1 minute, yes, please.
I don't think we need. I don't think I need. First of all, Doc, I think I should get more than a minute because I've been on Earth longer than these people here, and I have more to say. But you cut me off, man, whenever it's time. Yeah, my name is Tommy Angel. I was born and reared in Carencro. We used to say born and raised in Carencro, but I had an English teacher, and she said you raise geese and goats and cows, not people. So I was born and reared in Carencro. I graduated from Carencro High School. Married the love of my life, Dorothy, here to my right. Finished high school at Carencro, went in the Army. I spent 3 years in the Army, a year and a half in Korea. I came back. I went to college. I graduated from UL and USL back then. Told you I was here longer than them. In education, I got a master's and a +30 and an educational specialist in supervision and administration. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Wendy Baudouin, and I'm a lifelong resident of District 2. You could probably say that I am a lifelong learner. After graduating from high school in Carencro High, right there in District 2, I went on to pursue my bachelor's degree. Didn't get enough education, so I got a master's degree and then another master's degree, and I thought, let's keep going. Got a PhD, and I am now currently in my 3rd year of law school. I clearly love education. I also have worked professionally in education for more than a decade. I've spent a few years as a teacher and an advisor. I fell in love with research and policy at that time and became an education research and policy analyst, working at the Department of Education, at the Lafayette Parish School Board, and most recently in business for myself as a consultant and researcher. I have given service to this community as an election commissioner, as a pro bono legal research assistant, and I also rehab and rescue farm animals in my community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brianna Carter, and I too am a lifelong resident of Lafayette Parish in general, but District 2 has been for over 20 years. I am over 20, although I may not look it. I am qualified to run for this seat. I taught in Lafayette Parish for the past 6 years, my last day being in May. I currently teach at the university in the College of Ed. I coach cheerleading at Northside. I graduated from Northside, and so I love Lafayette in general. I'm looking forward to serving, if I get the opportunity, the students of District 2 and in Lafayette Parish. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Stasia Herbert, not Abear Maxfield. It is on my birth certificate. And I am, like everyone else, a lifelong resident of Lafayette Parish. I've been in Karen Grove since 1979, and I am a wife. My husband is a graduate of Northside High. I do not hold that against him, but I'm a Bears, but my daughter will be a graduate of Lafayette High. So we're a family that loves all the schools in our district. My passion comes from education. I am the director of distance education at South Louisiana Community College. I was an English teacher. I have a master's in English and a doctorate in psychology. And as I was telling Dr. Baudouin, I am thinking about going to mortuary school. So we're all lifelong learners up here. We love education and we want to help.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Timmy Chasson. I'm a lifelong resident, born in, Tommy, is it reared, Tommy?
Yes.
Reared in District 4, went to Vermilion Elementary, Paulboro Middle School, gifted program, and had to make a hard and tough decision. Ended up going to Northside, gifted programs at Lafayette High. Thank God I went to Northside. I guess it kind of works itself out nowadays. I have 3 wonderful and beautiful children. Tommy, you made sure to mention Miss Dorothy. I'm going to make sure to mention my lovely significant other, Jillian, because I would hear it later, Tommy. I promise you I will. And just happy to be here, happy to answer any questions. I used to get really nervous with these things a long time ago. Now it's painfully easy.
My name is Erica Williams. I'm from Marietta, Georgia. My husband, Dwight, is a Lafayette native, which is the reason that I'm here. I have 3 children. My daughter graduated Como High School. My 2 sons graduated Northside High School. They're all in the United States Air Force. I'm a criminal justice instructor. I've taught at Remington College as well as the University of Phoenix. On Monday, I'm excited to be starting a new career at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. I am the founder of a New Vision Leadership Foundation of Acadiana, and I have the honor of working with at-risk youth when it comes to educational advancement.
Thank you very much. Just as a reminder, we'll start our questions now, and each person will have 1 minute to answer, and we'll go in the same order that we did for the introductions, beginning with Mr. Angel. Our first question is this. In your opinion, what has Lafayette Parish school system done well over the past few years, and where has it had room for improvement?
I'm sorry, what's the second half?
Where has it had room for improvement?
I think over the past 2 years, we've had success in terms of raising the scores of our students. My motto, my thing is students first, keep our students first. So helping our students, we've had success in again, math, ELA scores, et cetera, and the room for, there's always room. I think there's room for improvement everywhere. I think we can always find room for improvement. I think the room for improvement would be finding ways to better prepare our younger children, pre-kindergarten children, before coming to school.
Thank you. Dr. Baudouin.
One of the things that Lafayette Parish School System has done really well is in offering parents a choice. The Magnet Academy program is widely successful in Lafayette Parish, and it's an innovative idea that allows students to focus their interest areas in their academic careers in elementary, middle, and high school. And it's one of the ways that Lafayette Parish has gotten students back into the system and has been able to be successful academically with students in their interest level. One of the things that they can do for improvement is to improve communication with the community and with parents. There is a gap in communication where parents, teachers, and students don't necessarily have an outlet to the school system, and when they do have an outlet, they don't necessarily feel like their feedback is received in the way that they intended it to be received. And that's one of the things that I'd like to help improve on the school board.
Thank you. Ms. Carter?
I'd like to agree with Ms. Wendy, or Dr. Wendy, when she said that the Magnet Academies were something that we do well. I totally agree with that. We also have improved the scores across the district, district-wide, but in the areas that we can improve upon, I think addressing the subgroups at each of the individual schools, as a district, we have struggled with addressing those individual subgroups. We've also taken away a lot of the autonomy from teachers, and I feel like that's an area that we can improve in across the district, because if we have teachers that are empowered to make the decisions in their classroom, I think we'll reach those subgroups and improve overall.
Thank you. Dr. Herbert McZill.
I would have to agree that our Magnet Academies are positive in this parish. When you talk to people about one of the things we have, and they find that the choices that we give parents. At the same time, I also think the positive in the Magnet Academy has a downside in that nobody knows that it's a Magnet Academy. We haven't truly branded that, because one thing we're missing is that we don't have a communications person to go out there and to tell people that it's no longer a school of choice, it's a Magnet Academy. I also think we're missing diversity at several administrative levels in the school system, because when people see administrators that look like them, children especially embrace that. They feel welcome and they feel a connection. So I think we need to work on more inclusion and diversity in our schools, and that's it.
Thank you. Dr. Shessel.
What we've done well is the opening of Dr. Rafael Barranco Elementary. We've lowered the numbers at Alice Boucher and J.W. Falk, which will help us get through to kids. We started the transformation zone, which, if you're familiar with it, is just simply amazing. We have the Love Our Schools initiative. Maybe you've heard of it. Quite amazing. We also have been able to brag that Alice Boucher became a C school for the first time in school history 2 years ago. And as well, Northside became a C 2 years ago for the first time in school history. And that's hard to imagine, but yet that's where we can still do well. I'm not okay with just a C. We're going to make it to a B. We're going to make it to an A. We have the right people in place.
Looking from a District 4 perspective, I too agree that something that we're doing a great job in is turning around the schools on the north side of town. I think that the school board has noticed that there is a problem, and although you may say that we have a B-rated school district, when we have so many students that are left behind, we really need to start to focus there, and they have done a good job at focusing their energy there and going out and recruiting and building a dynamic team to get that done. Where we need to improve is we need the trust of the community. Looking at the tax that was not passed shows that we have not come far enough to really get the trust of the community back. And I think that if we can work on the trust of the community and we can begin to work together, that we will move forward as a community.
Thank you very much. For our next question, we'll start with Dr. Baudouin and then come back around. What are your criteria and expected process for the recruitment and selection of a permanent superintendent?
So one of the first jobs of the newly elected school board is going to be selecting a new superintendent. In my 7 years at the Lafayette Parish School Board, I was underneath 3 different superintendents. So for me, selecting a new superintendent, first and foremost, is going to be about stability. We need a long-term plan for the Lafayette Parish school system that the community is involved in, that parents and teachers trust and believe in. And in order to enact that plan, we need to select a superintendent that is innovative, that is transparent and accountable and that believes in data-driven decision-making. With that in mind, I hope to create, as a school board member, an open, transparent, and accountable process for selecting a superintendent that searches for someone who is innovative and does not produce the same type of traditional interview processes that have typically been done and that has seen 3 superintendents. Thank you.
Thank you.
My criteria for selecting a superintendent would be, first and foremost, someone who is a lifelong learner. If you're leading an educational system, I feel like you should seek the highest level of education as possible and more. I also believe that as a superintendent, you should share your leadership. And so it shouldn't be just a top-down approach. It should be someone who leaves the balcony and comes down into the trenches on a regular basis, not just as superintendent, but if we could go back and interview people that they have worked for or worked with, we can get the references that we need to prove that what is written in articles and what's posted on social media is actually true based on what the people that they've worked with have said.
And I too also agree that we need someone who is a lifelong learner, because I want our superintendent to have the highest level of education that he or she can possess, and I want them to be bound in research and data and use that material to drive outcomes and achieve greatness in our school systems. I want the superintendent to be accessible to everyone. I remember the days where we had a superintendent who went to various places in our community, and it was like meet the superintendent day, and he would listen to some of the things people had to say. So it's not about staying in the ivory tower. It's coming out and meeting the people, meeting the parents, meeting the community, so that you can find out what's going on in the community, and also empowering teachers and other administrators to do the same thing. I want someone with a passion for learning and a passion for the children of Lafayette Parish.
I think I'm going to have the most amazing plan, everyone. My plan is to keep the one we got. That's my exact plan. I can tell you ahead of time. Having her help start the transformation zone, having her be the reason why we have the Love Our Schools initiative in the first place. Losing my mind about 4 years ago and driving to South Crawley Elementary to think for a second that, man, there's no kids in this school. It's too quiet. And to realize that she took South Crawley, who has the same demographics as J.W. Falk, from an F to an A in 2 years. And then doing the same thing at her previous stop at Eunice Elementary. No one could ever do this before. And with District 4 having always habitually struggled, my plan is just to keep the one we got.
I think this is the first time we're going to be in full agreement. I agree. But this is what I would like to see. I would like to see some accountability. I know that she has proven success. And with a superintendent, I'll also like to see that they are able to work with diverse populations of students. They have proven success with the student population. As well as, I would like to see a 5-year plan. I would like to see a 10-year plan. And I would like to see annual benchmarks so that we can hold our superintendent accountable for getting us to the point that we need to be.
Mr. Angel.
Thank you. I too agree with our superintendent we have right now. I think she's doing a great job. But we're going to probably interview, and what I would be looking for, a few things. I'd be looking for leadership. How did the person that we interview use the leadership that he or she had in the school where he or she has been? Also, I would like to know about the school improvement in the schools that he or she came from. I would like to be convinced that he or she is student driven. Let's do what we can for the students. I would also like to know what is the extent of community involvement. Thank you.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin with Ms. Carter and then go around. What role, if any, do you see for charter schools and private school vouchers in Lafayette Parish?
think being as though we are struggling with the subgroups of students, we kind of have to have those charter school vouchers and private school vouchers simply because we aren't doing everything that we can for the students in the district already. I would hope that as a school board member, I would make it to whereas parents don't have to look to the charters or the private schools, and they can come to our public schools and get the education from there. I'm not pushing charters or publics, but I am wanting parents to have the choice to give their children the education because, again, subgroups aren't being met in the school districts now, and a child's life and education is most important to me. And so if the parents want to make that choice, they can make that choice until we rise to the expectations that the parents in the district have.
I think that charter schools as well as the private school vouchers have provided us an opportunity to educate students in another environment because some parents don't feel like they're getting their needs met in traditional public schools. So we need to communicate with those parents to find out why exactly do you want to move to another place. We can't just continue to let students leave, but it's an option. And this is, again, one thing that we do really well in Lafayette Parish. We provide schools of choice, magnet academies, and it's options. There's nothing wrong with charter schools. We have some excellent charter schools in our area, and we have great private schools. And as I was telling someone the other day, eventually private school students normally do find their ways into public school due to financial situations that their families may experience. So we want to open up all avenues for people to succeed, especially our children.
My response to that question, I'm gonna slightly twist it. When it comes to charter schools, I'd have to say no, because I believe we have the capabilities to educate a child properly within our system. But the right to choice when it comes to vouchers, I have to agree with, because if a parent just doesn't see fit that public school is the right place for their kid, you have a right to choice. And if you apply for the voucher and you can get it, I mean, kudos to you. It's almost like a conversation I have with my daughter all the time. I really wanted my daughter to go to Northside, where I went, and she hit me with the right to choice. And she doesn't attend Northside, and it kills me every single day. That's why to all of her basketball games, I wear all of my Northside gear. And the coaches hate it. And the same reason why I tried to convince her for Northside is the same reason she said, well, they didn't make you go to ULL, you went to LSU.
In Lafayette Parish, there's about 30% of our youth that are attending schools other than public school. I think if we were to take all of those youth and put them in public school tomorrow, we would not have the capacity. So I am on board with giving students options outside of the public school system. I think that in the same way that you're able to choose your dentist for your child or your pediatrician, you should have a right to choose where your child goes to school. It's extremely important, though, for us to find out, for those parents that are sending them to schools because they do not find what they need in our school system, I think it's important that we learn what those discrepancies are and we try to address them. I think that sending kids to other schools outside of public schools gives us an opportunity to fix what we need to fix in our school system, and competition is not the enemy. It is something that we can definitely learn from.
Mr. Angel.
I must agree with the former speaker. I think that private schools, people who send their children to private school, I think they have a right to do that. It's their choice. My parents sent me to a private school for part of my career, and the reason they sent me to a private school was because it was a Catholic school. It was cathedral. Other reason was it was an all-boys school, and I was pretty canaille, and that helped. So I really believe in the choice that parents have. And believe it or not, I have it written down. But I also believe in competition. There's nothing wrong with competition. And I think that we are competing with the other choices that are available in Lafayette Parish. And I think we're doing well. But I agree. Let a parent choose where their child can go to school. Thank you.
I see the role of charter schools, vouchers, and public schools as one of coexistence. They are here, and parents choose them. And that is something that the Lafayette Parish school system has recognized as a reality. And when parents are choosing these schools, we hope that ideally they choose Lafayette Parish Public Schools. In the ideal world, all students in District 2 would attend schools in District 2, but they don't. And that's a responsibility that the Lafayette Parish School Board has. We need to understand from community input why parents and students are not choosing to come to schools in the communities in which they live. And once we know the information, we can do better. We can make better policies. We can encourage students to come back to Lafayette Public School System. We cannot fix what we do not know. So once we gather the appropriate information, we could, and what I would like to do on the board is begin a Choose Lafayette Parish Schools campaign to understand why they don't choose our schools when they want to choose our schools, because as taxpayers, they should have the opportunity to be satisfied with the schools in their community.
Thank you. Our next question, we will begin with Dr. Herbert Maxwell. What criteria should the school system use to evaluate the success of the instructional programs in each of our schools?
I think that they should have lead faculties in each school, and these lead faculties should be the ones that will review and evaluate, and it should be more peer-to-peer. I think sometimes when you send in an administrator, the faculty member, from what I'm hearing from some of my teacher friends, it's a little unnerving, but when the peers could work together and help each other, they find that faculty peer mentors help with the evaluation process. I think sending outsiders who have no connection to the curriculum and what the administrator of that school wants makes it difficult for the teachers to know what their expectations are. So I think we need to look more at keeping it within each school as long as the schools follow the district evaluation plan.
There's actually data that actually measures this. It's called the growth index. It's something new the state came out with. So the growth index measures the rate at which a kid is mastering the skills needed to succeed at the next level. So for instance, and I must have a really good push card because it's on my push card. Northside High the last 2 years, they were a B, both years. Paul Bro was an A, then a B. J.W. Falk was an A, then a B. Alice Boucher, where my son goes to school, Spanish immersion program, an A and the A. So the kids at those schools, and you'd be surprised to take a look at it when I was always under the conspiracy theory that, man, the kids on this side of town, man, we're always getting the short end of the stick. To take a look at that nowadays and see the level of instruction that is getting us up to the C, hopefully being A, to see how we're doing compared to other schools on the other side of town, you'd actually be really shocked.
In looking at those growth rates, I want to take it a step further and say that we also need to be looking at student performance rates. And when we're looking at student performance rates, it is essential that students are performing at a mastery rate. And we can tell that by going to the Louisiana Department of Education website. And those same growth rates are good, but when you really look at the students that are performing on grade level, in J.W. Falk is only 14%. Acadiana Middle is only 13%, and Northside High is only 16%. So I think that when we start to look at the true numbers, that those are the indicators on how well these programs are working.
Mr. Ajo?
I think the first method should be observe, observe, observe. I think we should have master teachers in the classroom from time to time, as much as possible, observing what's going on in the classroom. The growth index, the students' scores, I think, are also important. I think a third part of that would be what is discipline in the classroom? What is going on in the classroom in terms of discipline? How much attention is being focused from the students toward the teacher? Thank you.
To evaluate instructional programs in Lafayette Parish, instructional programs need to start with implementation plans. It's something that is lacking in the Lafayette Parish school system. Every time we introduce a new program, a new curriculum, a new methodology, At the school board and in the school system, we failed to follow a strategic implementation plan that would from start to finish identify what this program is supposed to do and how those outcomes would be evaluated. If we don't know that at the time that we begin a new program, then we don't know what we're measuring and whether or not the program's been successful. And when we're spending taxpayer dollars on all of these programs and platforms, we need to be sure that we're not wasting our resources. So I would first pilot the programs, not roll them out school district-wide, but start small, make a plan, follow the plan, and then evaluate how that plan has impacted teachers and students across a variety of subgroups, including special education. Thank you.
I agree with Dr. Wendy when she said to pilot the programs first, because I believe that growth is important, but if you have a child that's on a 4th grade level and they're showing some type of growth in their 11th grade year and they're going from 4th to 5th grade, it is a whole year, but they aren't where they need to be. And so I feel like we should be evaluating the curriculum based on, are there opportunities for us to truly fill those gaps? I also feel that we should align those to best practices in education and have our teachers have input and our parents have input, because if it's not looking the way we need it to look in the classroom, there's an issue there. The teachers are the expert in the classrooms. They see the babies sitting in front of them every day, and they know whether or not the curriculum, as Mr. Angel said, discipline, if the engagement isn't there, the teachers can identify that. And I guess that's all I have to say because I'm out of time.
Thank you. For our 5th question, we will begin with Dr. Shessel.
Yes, ma'am.
The Lafayette Parish School System is the parish's largest employer. What is the role of a school board member in making the Lafayette Parish School System a sought-after place to start and to continue a person's career? Thanks.
It really is. So I think increasing pay, obviously, but it's kind of twofold. Justin Santana and I used to go back and forth on this. Now I completely agree with him. It's trying to make sure that everyone grasps the concept. We have a tax initiative that we were able to somehow get passed a long time ago, and we're able to either disperse that as one lump sum payment or put it into your permanent salary. And I think we would be able to retain and keep folks if we were somehow able to convince the vast majority of educators in our system, if we could somehow convince everyone to just let us put it into the permanent salary, then therefore it would go into perpetuity. You would continue getting that amount even if the taxes aren't as well as we receive every year. And then as well, your retirement would be that much more because you're retiring at a higher salary. But educators are pretty adamant about that lump sum.
Can I get you to repeat the question again?
Yes. What is the role of the school board member in making the Lafayette Parish School System a sought-after place to start and continue a career?
I think that the role of the school board member is to be a good policy setter. Well, you have to really get to a point where the school board, as well as the actual school and the employees themselves, are on one page. And I think that Lafayette Parish School System does a really good job with that. The pay increase was really nice for the teachers, but at the same time, accountability is something that is extremely important. And when you're setting good policy, then that good policy is going to trickle down to your employees also.
Thank you. Mr. Angel.
The number one job of a school board member is the appointment of a superintendent. That's the most important person in the team. From the superintendent, things flow. The second thing I think is that our teachers should be better paid. Our teachers should be as trained as possible. The better the teacher, the better the student, the better the system. Again, I'm going to come back to the discipline part of it. I think we need to nip the problem in the bud, so to speak, so that discipline doesn't disrupt instruction. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are a few ways that the Lafayette Parish School System can continue to seek out and have continued employment Parish. First is a comprehensive recruitment platform. So there are some recruitment efforts that take place in the Lafayette Parish school system, but they are not necessarily comprehensive and they do not target specific audiences. And if we create policies such as teacher mentor programs within the system, then we can pair veteran teachers with new teachers and encourage individuals to apply for Lafayette Parish positions. We could also set competitive salaries with our neighboring districts to encourage more individuals to come to Lafayette Parish. Additionally, we can set appealing policies that value and appreciate the educators and professionals who work in the system, even if those are not through pay for performance type evaluations. And also, I would like to see that the school board have individualized professional developments for teachers where we target training for teacher-specific needs. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the role of a school board member in regards to what you stated, I don't want to repeat the question because I went all my time, but I think we just need to untie the hands of the teachers and administrators as well as the central office staff as well. I feel like we talk too much about, like, there's red tape. Well, as a school board member, I believe that we have the authority to cut the red tape. I mean, I know that there's Bessie and all, but there are some policies in Lafayette Parish that we can get rid of. I also feel that the school board member's job is to be visible in the schools. I know people have jobs, but as much as possible, we need to be there to actually see what's going on and not only listening to the reports that central office staff is giving to us. We need to see how the policies that we implement are affecting the children, see how it's affecting the parents, and see how it's affecting the actual people that's implementing all of this. That's it.
Thank you.
I think one way that the school board members could be more involved, as Ms. Carter said, is to cut that red tape. You know, students come to undergraduate schools like SLCC and UL, and they are passionate about education. When they leave these institutions, they want to go out there and they want to change the lives of children. And then when they get to the schools, they realize, whoa, I didn't learn this in my student teaching. I didn't have all these obstacles and barriers standing in my way. Money's great, but sometimes engagement and valuing people as a whole and respecting people and listening to those teachers is just as important as money. Now, money is good, but just to know that you heard what I said is actually important. So we need to be available and listen.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll begin with Ms. Williams. What do you feel are best practices in engaging the public in the governance of the Lafayette Parish school system? And how would you encourage public participation at school board meetings?
For the last 5 years, I've been an education advocate, and I've also been on the ground working to get more interest in school board meetings and more vested parents into the participation of their students in schools. I think that the way to get parents interested and invested is to bring the information to them first. And as parents start to get interested in that information, you give them the information about the website, where they can find this information. You also tell them when the school board meetings are going to be held. And when you start to bring the information to them and they start to see the benefit of being involved in the process, then parents will start turning out and coming out. I think it's extremely important to meet people where they are. There's a lot of reasons that parents are not involved, and we need to find out some of those reasons and go grassroots and go get the parents and meet them where they are.
Thank you. Mr. Aja?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I think that the public meetings, they're aired on AOC most of the time. Sometimes we compete with the parish and others, but I think they're public. And let me tell you, when there's a subject that's near and dear to the heart of the parent, they come to the meeting. They're there. We had one just the other day. When it's near and dear to them, they come. I don't know if I heard the word taxes in your but I think that, again, the parents have to feel as they are involved and they are part of the system, and they are. First of all, they pay for it with their taxes, and they should be, and they are involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
So one of the first things that I think is key to getting more community input is revamping the Lafayette Parish school system website. It is not as user-friendly as it should be, and it does not provide the needed information for the public to be able to adequately know what's happening in the school system and what resources are available to them. Additionally, I would hope to create annual feedback surveys from the community, from businesses, from teachers and students, because if we do not assess ourselves as the Lafayette Parish school system based on the community's perception and reality of how we're performing, we cannot do better. I would also like to engage in community outreach, particularly in my district, by creating a newsletter and summarizing what's going to be on the agenda and how my votes are on the agenda, and also engaging student voices and creating a student advisory council and building partnerships with the local community businesses and parent organization groups. I think if we have a combination of these things, we'll be successful.
I think some of the best practices that could be implemented would be in the area of sending out a needs assessment to survey exactly what parents need, what students need, and what the teachers need. We don't know why they aren't coming to items that are only hot topics. We need to figure out what way can we present this material to you so that you can stay up to date and not come at the last minute before a policy is being changed. We need to know before it's actually being voted on, so figure out a way to get this to the stakeholders beforehand. I think another thing we could do is community town halls and streaming on social media platforms. Like the district does a great job at streaming on YouTube and such, but I think parents have their phones in their hand on Facebook all the time, so we can utilize the district's Facebook page to stream those meetings as well. Go live. That's it.
We make an assumption that every parent does not want to be involved, and that's an incorrect assumption because not every student in Lafayette Parish is being reared by a parent. Some of our students are homeless, some of our students are being raised by their grandparents, and some of these people do not know about technology. Some of these people do not have transportation to get outside of Karen Crow, so they can't always come to us. So we have to go to them. We have to be willing to meet, as Erica said, meet them where they are. And this may include these town hall meetings. It may include getting back to the Super One in the community and listening, putting a sign saying, hey, come and voice your opinion, and taking that back to the community, to the school board, and then bringing it back to them. I think we have to stop thinking that technology is available for everyone and they understand it, and we have to go back to basics because we do have a high illiteracy rate in Louisiana.
For anyone that's not on the school board, clearly y'all haven't seen any of the controversial topics because I'm not sure if we want more coverage. You put a controversial topic on, you get a lot of coverage. You get a lot of people participating. You rezone a certain area, it's full. You put a resolution for LGBTQ community, it's packed. But I honest to God, I truly believe that if folks really care about it, they're there anyway. So that's why I commend the people that are there no matter what. And those are the people who are aware that we have social media. We're covered in all the editorials. We're on AOC. We have YouTube. We have our website. The board members that freely give themselves time and their cell phone numbers, 337-315-9234. She knows they call all hours.
For our last question of the evening, we'll start with Mr. Angel again, and I'll give you a tax question if you want it. In 2017, the Lafayette Parish School System pursued a sales tax that did not pass that would have gone towards replacing out-of-date and auxiliary buildings. Would you support seeking new revenue sources through a tax or through any other means in order to address that kind of situation?
At this point in time, I would not support another tax. I think that before we ask for more tax money, I think we have to be better prepared to show to the public, the taxpayer in Lafayette Parish, that we are doing more and more with less and less. And I think that we are. We've built a new school, of course, on the South Side School. In my district, we're gonna add a wing to Evangeline Elementary, and we're gonna add a wing to, Acadian. And so I think that those are the kinds of things that shows the public we are doing everything we can with your money, and we're not wasting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bedwin.
I agree with Mr. Angel. At this time, I would not support putting a new tax on the ballot until the Lafayette Parish School System can demonstrate to the public that they are good stewards of their tax dollars. So they will be starting the checkbook process where the public has an opportunity to review all the ways that the school board spends their money. But additionally, we need to look at more ways to cut the duplication of effort in the school system and to cut any wasteful spending that is occurring in the school system. If we do not demonstrate to the public that we're not wasteful with their tax dollars, then we don't need to ask the public for more tax dollars. I would like nothing more than to see a new Carencro Heights Elementary School. And I know that the school board has a fund where they're currently saving money for that process, but I would not support a tax unless the school system, putting a tax on the ballot until the school system can assure the community that we don't waste any of their tax dollars.
I too agree that we do not need to entertain the idea of putting forth another tax because we need to gain the trust of the public back. We need to prove that we can be good stewards of our money, that we can truly use the needs of all of the students in the district and have that inform the way that we spend the tax dollars that we currently have, the money that we currently have. I feel that we wouldn't have to beg for a tax to be passed if the stakeholders truly trusted the school system and truly believed that their vision, or that we shared a vision in how we were running the school system.
I would have to agree with that, no new taxes, only because we need to demonstrate to the community that we have a plan in place before we ask them to vote on a tax. And when we say a plan, one of the things people want to know is, where's my money going to go? When are you going to renovate? What are you going to do for me? It's just like, you know, families have budgets and they want to track those receipts. And people, when we had the tax proposal, that's all I heard was like, no, don't vote for this, don't vote for this. And I know we needed it. So I know the big concern was making sure that the school board was doing what needed to be done with those tax-paying dollars. And if we can prove that to the community, they will basically trust us with their funds going forward.
So this one goes back to the previous question. You want to increase awareness and participation at meetings? Talk about the tax initiative. 20 people just walked in the door whenever she asked the question. We literally doubled in size in here. I will support anything that helps kids, period, like anything at all. But this particular question is a bit loaded. If you say yes, you support it. I supported it before. We'll always support it. You say yes, you're going to be criticized. If you were at the last meeting, no matter what you do, you're going to be criticized. You say no, you're going to be criticized. I'm going to support anything for my babies, anything for the kids. So I want everyone to take notice here. I didn't answer the question. If you want the answer, call me on my cell phone.
Well, I'm going to tell you direct no. I'm going to say no because there's some things that need to happen before anyone can ask for a tax. The first thing is, I want to see extraordinary progress in all of our schools, from the top performing schools to the lowest performing schools. I want to see some growth in their student performance. I also want to earn back the trust of the community. I want to make sure that the community understands that their money is being utilized for the right reason. They're seeing the progress. And if there was ever a tax, I would love to see a sunset tax. We have a start date. We have an end date. Here are the things that are going to be fixed. And you can actually see it in progress to the end. But at this point, my answer is no.
Thank you. We have reached the point in the forum when the candidates will each make a closing statement. Candidates have 2 minutes. We will hear from the candidates in reverse alphabetical order by district, starting with District 4. So the exact opposite of how we went. We'll go from Ms. Williams down to Mr. Angel. 2 minutes each.
My name is Erica Williams. I'm running for School Board District 4. I am laser focused on student performance. I think that we really have to address the achievement gap and our graduation rates on the north side of town, and I'm laser focused on it. I think that Interim Superintendent Trosclair is doing a wonderful job thus far. I would love and I would be honored to work with her, and I'm asking for your vote on October the 12th.
Let's see, it's pretty tough to figure out what the proper closing comment is. I appreciate everyone coming out. I laugh when Tommy Angel says, "Can I?" I just appreciate everyone. I appreciate all the support everyone has ever given me. It's pretty tough to run for these things because no matter what, you're going to be criticized. And it's pretty tough, especially when they can bring in your family, your kids, and when you're absolutely positive you did the absolutely best and you did the absolutely correct thing and you did the absolutely best that you could ever possibly do. You wouldn't change a single thing. It's still a tough position. So I commend everyone for everything that they said, and I want to be sure to sneak in the word absolutely and something else because I had a young man who said that I wouldn't say it, and I'm sure he's watching, well, whenever they get a chance. So I was able to sneak in the absolutely best, Lil Mike.
My closing remarks, similar to Mr. Chasson, as I, in District 2, am sitting here with these other 3 candidates, I'm very proud because these are all lifelong learners and they all hail from extraordinary schools, and they represent to me getting back to basics, something as simple as the vowels, A-E-I-O-U, providing access to all the students, providing equity to all students, providing, solid infrastructure for our students to go to school in, and looking at those outcomes and finding ways to make our schools better, finding ways to make performances better, and getting everybody, you, involved in education because you are the reason that students thrive. You being here, you listening to us, you are what is needed to make our school system even better than it is because I'm a proud graduate of a Lafayette Parish school and I want to serve on this board.
My name is Brianna Carter, and I'm going to use some of my time to say this is extremely hard. Like sitting on a hot seat and getting asked questions like that, your brain is like flipping. So it's hard. Probably one of the first times in my life I've ever admitted that something is hard, but it is. I just want to say that my passion for education hasn't stopped because I left the classroom. I'm in my career now training teachers who eventually will go into the classroom. So I feel like as a school board member, I would be able to serve in making sure that the best practices that my students are taught with me at the university are able to actually be implemented as they enter into the school system. I know many of the teachers who are graduating from the university would love to teach in Lafayette Parish because of the location, but if we look at the data, they are coming less and less because of their experiences in the classrooms as student teachers, and the difference is that the policies are tying their hands and they can't do truly what best practices say. And so I think having me on the board would bridge the gap between the policies and the implementation as they enter into practice in our schools. I love kids and I love education, so vote for me on October 12th.
I'm Dr. Wendy Baudouin, and I'm running for the District 2 school board seat as a lifelong resident of District 2. I am passionate about my community and passionate about education. I have spent more than a decade in public service, all of which has been in educating youth and in working with at-risk students. I am now running for the school board seat to make a bigger difference in the lives of the students, parents, and teachers in my community. I have a 5-point platform for progress that I would hope to implement as part of the school board. My main pillars are transparency and stability in the system. In communication, we have phenomenal teachers and leaders and amazing students, and the public should know about it. I'm looking to improve innovation in our school system. We should be the leaders in our state in innovating educational opportunities for our students. I would like to streamline and prioritize the budget for Lafayette Parish and to ensure fair and responsible spending of taxpayer dollars. And finally, I would like to improve communication and working together with our community to ensure that everyone has an outlet so that they feel as though they can approach the school system, have their concerns heard, and get responsive feedback from the school system. In District 2, we have been a growing, amazing, beautiful population. And as our community has grown and as our economy has grown, our school systems have not kept pace. As a board member in District 2, I hope to focus on improving schools in my community for all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello again. My name is Tommy Angel. I'm the current school board member for District 2. I'd like to take a few seconds. I don't have minutes. I'd like to take a few seconds to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this program on. I appreciate what you do for our community. I also want to comment about this beautiful library. It really is something that I think people are proud to come to. I'd like to point out that when I was mayor in Carencro, we donated land to this public library, and the first public library that was built outside of the city of Lafayette was built in Carencro, and it's going to be renovated. It's being used so much that it's going to be enlarged and renovated. I also would like to thank everyone on the panel who had good things to say about our school board. Thank you. I think we're doing quite well. I also want to make one other comment that I wrote down about student teaching. Someone mentioned it. I think you mentioned it. I think that student teaching should begin earlier. It's a heck of a thing when you take 3 or 4 years of education, and then when there's about a year left of you to get your degree, student teachers, you student teach, and then you figure out it's not for you. And you've spent 3 or 4 years, 3 years working on it. So I think we should student teach earlier. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you very much. I want to thank all of our candidates for being here this evening and for putting yourself out there for public service. That is often a thankless and hard thing, and I commend you for offering yourself up for service to our community. Thank you very much. The League of Women Voters would like to remind everybody that the election is upcoming on October 12th. The early voting begins on September 28th. We have, the League of Women Voters has produced a voting guide for anybody who would like to check that out. We have a printed copy in the back, and you can also access it through our website. That's lwv-lafayette.org. We'd like to thank everybody who was watching from home and all the people who are going to replay all of the awesome comments that we heard tonight later on. And we hope that you'll be able to come and join us for our upcoming forums. We have 7 more that we're going to be doing between now and the beginning of early voting. I'd like to thank, in particular, our timekeeper, Mrs. Deborah Ami, our candidates, the League of Voters Services Committee, who helped organize all of these forums, our library staff, who are hosting us tonight and made everything run very smoothly, and especially AOC Media, who is broadcasting all of this. So if you'll join me in giving everyone a big round of applause. Thanks, y'all, and have a good night.